Takes me a second. I'm not as used to Zoom as I am to the Teams now. So
Oh,
yeah, we're good.
I feel your pain. Whenever I'm in the Teams environment, I
Maybe
get all wonky.
let's get some of this off the screen so I can see. Okay.
Look at you. You did your homework too. Good
Well, I
guy.
didn't want to be. I didn't know if I'd get caught on or anything. I didn't want to be a bad, a bad participant. So, all right. Let me get 1 second here. I got to get my. Can't see anyone here. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Um, Teams. Oh, okay. Thank you. So this is our intranet currently. I want everybody to know that this morning, and a little bit before this morning, the last few months, we've been working behind the scenes to add some new features, maybe some new layouts, and a lot of new capabilities, and even hopefully a better user experience, because that's sort of my job at our organization. So what we're looking at now is what you all see when you go to Connect. We're going to be changing some of this around. And what I'm going to do in the next like 30, 40 minutes, hopefully, I love to talk. I'm waiting for Elizabeth to do the tap when it's time to be quiet. But I'm going to run through a lot of new features, some of which you all will participate in managing as part of your content manager role. Some others you may never see, you may never touch. But I'll start with the high level stuff that we're all going to do, whenever we update things. Now, earlier today, you may have got an invite to a SharePoint content manager group. I don't know if you got the alert or not, if they're on. I created that group and I've added everyone on this team. And as we add more people to this team, if we do, I'll get them in that group. What that's going to give you is a little more access to SharePoint than maybe what you had in the past. And we'll continue to, as we go through training and turning this over to you all, continue to tweak those permissions. Probably not perfect right now. So if you have something that you think you should see that you can't, please reach out, and then we can take a look at it and address those permission issues. So what you may have noticed if you go to Connect now is there's a new menu across the top. This is a global menu. This allows us to jump from different department sites and content from within those department sites. So the first part of this whole content management training and situation is how do we get around SharePoint? There's hundreds of sites, small sites, big sites for departments and things like that. So what we're trying to do with this menu is create a place where you can jump from department to department, from the news site to the search center, things like that. And this will continue to evolve. In the scope that we're in right now, what we've completed so far is the people and culture and the way we work sites. Those have been our primary focus. We're going to roll in IT. We're going to roll in a couple other department sites. So you'll see this menu over the next 30 days probably start to increase as we add more sites to this sort of new environment or upgraded environment, if you will. I'm going to switch from, this is the first link here is the Connect page. This is the new Connect page. It's not live yet, but you all have access to see this. A lot of people in the organization will not even see any of these menu items yet until we launch. So you're getting that sort of preview, and so congratulations. I'll run through some content here, and then I'm going to step down into a department site, and then we'll go through some features and things in there. And so I'll kind of run through it, and then Elizabeth, do we have Q&A time in this call, or is that sort of like next step, next session if I'm invited, if I'm allowed to come back?
If you want to come back the Wednesday after Thanksgiving, so we're skipping the Wednesday before Thanksgiving because I'm not rude.
Yep.
If you want to do that, and we could do a Q&A, let's give me a show of hands, give me an emoji, folks. Would you like to cover the training in this session and have a full Q&A session next time we get together. Do you think that's the best use of your time, audience members?
Wait, what's the other option though?
That would be to have both Q&A and this training in this 1 hour.
Got it. I'm gonna stick to my first option.
Option one.
I'm fine with
Everybody-
option one.
Okay, so it looks like we've got most people saying that they would like option one. Okay, then Matt, yes, go through training now, and then I will ask that homework be over the 2 weeks following. People aggregate questions that they would like you to answer, and you come back on the 3rd or whatever that day is and answer those.
Great. Sounds good. I just want to know to stop or pause or, but if
At
anybody.
this point, you've got 43 minutes. Go
All
for
right,
it.
great. So this is our redesigned homepage. It's certainly not complete with all the features we're adding, but it's a good overview, and you can start to see some of the new features of the site surfacing here that weren't, that aren't on the current site. The first being announcements. These are hub announcements. This team will be able to post announcements here. Other department leads and things will have permissions to post announcements. I'll go into that in a little bit more detail here in a few minutes. But essentially, you can create a couple different types of announcements. They can be informational, which is sort of what we're looking at here. It's blue, not very loud. There's emergency ones that are red, like, don't come to the office, office is closed for, anything it may be. We're going to have a place here where we can post various announcements and notifications to everyone, just so they're front and center before we start getting into the rest of the page content. Similar to what you have now is a news roll up. A little bit different. We don't actually add news to the homepage. We add news at our department site level, and then those aggregate up to the homepage. So if you see here, the way we work has a couple of news articles. As more people post and start posting from their department sites, this will fill up with other departments' news, and it sort of just cycles through the latest couple of news posts there. And we'll cover creating news and things like that when we get to the department level. So that's one thing of training and mentality is a lot of this content is going into our department levels. This page is pretty automated. We really don't have to come in here and do a whole lot of tweaking to our Connect landing page. Next is events. They work the same way, and I'll dive in. They come from the department sites. So you can see we've got a couple of people in culture. Here's one in Connect itself, which those will kind of go away. And I can cycle through a lot of the upcoming events. So important, the voice of your department, you all, will be any events that are important to your department and important to the rest of the team at the NRA will be posted here and show up. What's nice about this is our users can just do one click on any of these events and add them to their Outlook calendar. So that's a really quick shortcut. If you're interested in attending one of these, you can add it to your calendar with a shortcut there. To the right, we have an employee spotlight. This is another list of content that you all will be able to maintain, or a set of our content management team will be able to maintain. And there's a couple different ways we feature employees. We have an employee spotlight, which is an active employee, and we want to highlight something they've done in the organization. And so that's how we would do that there. And I'll go into a little bit more detail how we actually pull the levers and stuff in the background to, to feature people. Scrolling down, new hire, it's the exact same thing as employee spotlight. They're both managed in the same place. New hires, I know Ash isn't a new hire, but I was just using him as an example. But that's a place we'll introduce new team members to the rest of the organization. And another new feature, and one of the main things we kind of all came together and proceeded with this effort was newsletters. And so we're going to do newsletters in SharePoint. This is what a newsletter, call it a teaser or a roll-up or a summary. It has a link to the newsletter and then individual links to all of the articles and content featured in that month's or that week's newsletter. How often however often we decide to produce those, for whatever reason, those will show up here on the homepage with summaries and links to the articles. We'll jump into a lot of detail here in a little bit into the news site, and so you can see a lot of the features there. And then coming down the page, these are on our current page. These were just persisted, these graphics. They might be changed or something, but that's something our team will help with, or your creative team may lend a hand there as well. So that's our new landing page. There's gonna, like I said, there's gonna be a few more areas of content there that we're going to add as we finish them up in development this month or next month, as well as like a knowledge hub, and we'll get to that, what that means in a little bit as well. If you notice, the department dropdown is relatively new for you all. We can go to the people and culture page here. We can even access some of the popular and important links in that area. So that's just this global menu will be a place that probably IT controls this menu. So if we want to change something in the global menu, that may be a request into the IT team, just as a smaller team to manage these sort of global links. You will be able to manage the navigation within your site, which I'll jump on here in a second. The Knowledge Hub. So you can consider knowledge, user guides, processes, documentation, any sort of knowledge that we have, we want to get into SharePoint. We want to sort of get it out of that PDF or that Word document that we share out. And we want to actually get that content baked into SharePoint. So a lot of our job initially as content managers would be identifying content, using a lot of what Elizabeth's going to share with us about how to actually craft that content, and put it into SharePoint and tag it accordingly so people can find it and are aware of its existence instead of being buried somewhere in a document library or in an email chain or in a Teams link. We want to start migrating all that great knowledge of all of our team's processes and procedures to SharePoint. And this is really simple, just a search here where you can search on anything. So if I was interested in like the news or doing something with news, I can search for news. Oh, here's how to create a news article. So very helpful here. We can filter over here by department or topic or what type of knowledge it is if we have a lot of results that we want to look through. Okay. This is the News Center or News Central is another new feature in the Connect site. I touched on the newsletters a little bit, but that's basically all the News Center is it controls our newsletters. It also aggregates news events and announcements from all of our department sites. So this is sort of our one-stop shop for news from all across the organization. As we put stuff into our department sites, it's all going to show up here so that people don't have to dive into each department to understand what's going on. This is sort of a global area for news.
Matt, can I pause you real quick?
Sure.
I don't know if this is the appropriate place or if later on in your presentation, you're going to describe what it means for the different departments to own their content and for it to filter back into a main location like Connect, or if you'd want to do that now. It's my understanding, and I may be wrong, but everyone who's here, business services, facilities, finance, legal, marketing, people, P&C, and then technology, each of those departments will have their own department portal, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And I'm just starting right now. I'm just going over sort of the high level areas of the hub that really we don't work in every day. They're sort of automated, right? So the stuff we do at the department level, which I'll get to next, creating content, managing content there, all sort of, aggregates into a central page or area, in the hub. So I'll jump right into the department site next. So,
sorry.
Is that good? Is that okay? All right. Next is just resources links. As we build forms, that's another project we're doing, is we're migrating forms from Word or PDF or Smart Sheets or wherever they may be, and we're going to move them all into SharePoint, nice and pretty. Lots of workflow and alerts and everything on those. So that'll be another ongoing process that you all will be a part of as we go through each department. Now let's jump into the fun department sites. This is where everything happens. So if I go into people and culture now, excuse me, this is the current homepage for people and culture. Very image heavy, kind of hard to edit if you don't know Photoshop and you can't change these graphics and things like that. We're changing this to be a little bit easier on you all as our content creators, maybe not having the best graphic design capabilities. I certainly don't. So we're going to look, this is the new people and culture news and information landing page. Your department sites are being upgraded right now. It's going to have a very similar look and feel as what you're seeing in front of you. We have the people and culture and the way we work. Both of those have been completed in their upgrades and their new configuration and design. So I'm just using this as a guide, as a template to show you the new features. Once your page is up, I can go over that with you all, or it should look very similar to this. So it really shouldn't be a lot of change on how you manage your content versus the people and culture team. So on the landing page, again, like a lot like our Connect landing page, we have news first, then events. We have a quick links area over here that can be edited, and I'll show you that here in a second. You really don't need to repeat links that we have in your site's menu. So we have a global menu. And then when we are in the context of a department site, we have that site's menu. So two different menus. This one you will be able to maintain yourself. The hub one will come from like an administrator or something like that. Now, if I go across here, SharePoint, of course, is a website. It's built of web pages. So these are the different pages that are in this site right now. They actually have 2 document libraries, and I'll have to do a little more investigation as to why. Most sites just have one, but you all in your department sites may have more than one document library. Maybe you have one that's private for your department, and then maybe you have one that's public and shared out to the rest of the organization. You have events. Oh, I'm not going to go to that. Sorry. You have an event list. You may or may not have some forms. When we go through that process, we're sort of doing inventory on those now. So you also have, we have a global knowledge center. You also have a knowledge center here that rolls up different knowledge within your site. This is your knowledge center. There isn't any in this site right now, but I'll show you one here in a second that has some. This site has a special feature called the Team Member Handbook. This is where that PDF or those Word documents that we have currently, we're going to migrate all our content into this employee handbook. So the people that are responsible for this may be one of the first tasks that we do as content managers, is cleaning this up and getting everything in here and updated as we look to launch, sort of towards the new year there. Okay, let me go back there. And you will see, and only you all will see, a site administration link here. And there'll be more links added here as we add more features. But for this site, the main thing is managing the content in your pages. So if I click the link, it takes me to a place, to the library of, here's all the pages in my SharePoint site that I can go through if I need to make an edit to the home page or the wellness page. This is a good, you're going to spend a lot of time in this area because this is sort of your table of contents or your admin area for the pages in your department site. Okay, let's go back to the new home page. And when we talk about managing content, the main things we're going to be doing, right, is adding news posts as well as adding events, maybe making sure our quick links are up to date, making sure our navigation is accurate and helpful, and it has links to everything that our department and people coming to our department site would want to see. And then if I scroll down a little bit, we also have a web part for people and culture leadership. So this will be up to you all to decide who goes in this leadership web part, but we will have that on your pages as well. And we also have a document center. Each department has a document library or multiple document libraries. This is just a little web part area that allows people to search your documents, see things that were recently updated, and then also view popular documents. This one's pretty automated. We won't have to do a lot of maintenance to this area. It's just reading stuff from your document library. Now, the scary part, when I put this page in edit mode, we have user guides for this, and I'll show you where those are in the Knowledge Center. But just to give you a brief overview of editing these pages, if you all haven't done it before, get rid of that little guy. So when I first open it up, I can see now, I can click on these web parts and edit them. But like I said, news and events, pretty automated. We don't actually have to edit these web parts ever. They're automatically set up for us. But for example, if I want to edit the quick links, I can go into the web part and edit the individual items. I can also add a new link, and I can add links to, let's just say I want to add a link to our forms page to that web part, excuse me. I just select the content that I want and I click add link. Very easy to link to content already in SharePoint. Or if you have an external website that you want to feature in your site's quick links, you can do it from a link here and add and manage links there. So
Would an example of that be like the National Restaurant Association YouTube page?
it could be, if it's
Okay.
pertinent to your department, if it's somewhere that people in your department or people visiting your department should be aware of, then get those in that quick links area there. So there, I just added another one to Google. Probably don't need that one, but and then they're easy to manage. You can move these around and change the sort order like that, or I can just delete the ones that I just created just to keep it back to where it was. So quick links web part, something you all will be maintaining as well as your navigation. Employee spotlight, let's look at that real quick. I think, oh, sorry, one more thing. The people and culture web part as well. It works the same way almost as the quick links web part. You can add and remove people here, add more people here. Let me pick someone, Brandy. You're the winner. And then I can add Brandy there, and there she is. And I can also remove people. I can also drag. Oh, sorry. I can also drag people if you want to have a sort order to your people web part. And this is more, this can be a leadership, this is more of a leadership area here. We could create another page in your site where you had this web part on it, and you could put the rest of the team there. So if somebody comes to your site, they can see everybody in your department, on its own page. Okay. So I am just gonna, I don't want to save any of those changes. I'm going to discard my changes. And so I go back to the version, before when we just started. But if you need to see that again, like I said, I'll show you some training guides here that you can reference when you're trying to do some of this stuff in a week or whenever, and you forgot everything I said. We have plenty of user guides that take you through managing a lot of this content, creating events, pages, managing your navigation. A lot of that stuff's already in there.
At the end of the day, are you guys providing mini like video modules?
Yeah, we are. I'd like to, if we're recording this, I will bake these recordings back into our training center or our knowledge center. And excuse me, and anything we like one-on-ones, little huddles where we're doing stuff, we'll try to record those and put little video clips up there on how to do things. So now when I'm in edit mode, this is a sort of a big deal. If I don't want to change what I did, discard. If I want to save what I did, but not publish it out to the rest of the world, I can save it as a draft. And only I can see those, the draft articles. Also, other site owners, everybody else on this team, can also see drafts that aren't published yet and publish them. So you could work with someone on a page change or anywhere in SharePoint and save it as a draft. And until you're ready to publish that out to the rest of the organization, you can keep it in a draft mode. And when you're ready to publish it to everybody, you hit publish, and then it becomes available to everybody else on the team. Now, I showed you the the pages library before, and this sort of tells you who modified things last, when it was created, how it's tagged, and I'll get into tagging in a little bit here too. But you can see who has things checked out. If it has that little icon there, that means that's a draft. There's a change in the people leaders page that needs to be published, but it's not. So it's showing an old version of that page, the last published version of that page. So that's always a nice indicator to tell you if you're looking through your page content. There, I made some changes to that forms page. I'm going to go ahead and I can click on it, go to the page and publish it, or I can publish it right from this context menu here. Has a lot of options, but mainly you're just going to republish it from there. Now, creating content, if I go back to my new homepage here and I'm looking, I have a new button up in this corner for a new page. If I want to create, we've got a couple pages in the site, there's 3 there. Let's say we wanted to create a new page. We have some templates we can start with. These are regular pages, just plain old content pages. If you want to create a news article or a knowledge article, meaning the news article will show up in our news feeds, the knowledge articles will show up in our knowledge center. These are the special types of templates you can use to create those. So just for example, if I created a new knowledge template right there, I can preview it, hit create. Type in a name, I can set my image at the top. Speaking of Maybelline, there's that there, and as well as adding content. This is here by default. You can start typing text. It's sort of like a little bit of a word editor, WYSIWYG editor there that you can change sizes of fonts and also change font size, color, add links, that sort of thing, all here. But if you've used Word and you're comfortable with word processors and that sort of thing, same difference there. Another area in our page content is this is just a web part. We can add more web parts. We can add more text editors. We can add all types of web parts. I don't have time to go through all these right now, but we may have some user guides and things for you just that explains a lot of these very common and popular web parts that people use, like images. Another popular one would be like a video. So if I type in like video, I can add one from YouTube. If part of your training guide references a YouTube video for training on something, you can add a YouTube video here, or something like a meeting recording would come from Stream. That's a Microsoft product that allows us to stream stuff within Teams and things like that we've recorded pretty easily. So that's very high level page editing. And let me see here, I'll just put sample text, and I'm going to just save this as a draft. I don't want to publish it yet. I don't need it to go out to everyone else, but just showing you how we can make a very simple page. One thing I glossed over are these properties here. This is one of the most important things in SharePoint. When we put content in, we have to not only select the right template, page template to use if it's like an event, or I'm sorry, if it's news, knowledge, or just a regular page. That's step 1. Step 2 is tagging it accordingly. So if I click on my page details up here, this allows me to rename the page. I click this page details up here at the top. Depending on what department site you're in, it will automatically fill in the department. You can tag topics if you have certain topics you want to do. The knowledge category. we are currently reviewing all of our tags, and we may add and remove and delete more, or add and remove more, but I'm just going to flag this one as a user guide. We can have more. If you're creating knowledge content and you'd like another category for knowledge, suggest it and suggest it to the rest of the team, and then we can add it to our list of types of knowledge pages. So
One thing that you all as content creators should probably know is that there is going to be to a certain degree of standardization. Everybody will have knowledge of the general tags that are used. Departments may have a couple one-offs that are specific to them, but across the enterprise, there will be a consistency, as well as when you are creating the content within each of these pages, as Matt showed you the WYSIWYG, we probably want to have a conversation at some point about what that style standard is as well. Do we expect headlines to always be H1, H2? What colors and fonts are we going to use? So that's nothing that we have on tap at the moment. But as we move forward, we're probably going to have those conversations, starting with Dion and filtering their way down. So my hope would be that as those conversations are happening, that we're gathering insight and best practices and ideas from you guys, that it's not a mandate from the top down, but rather good ideas coming from the grassroots up. So just know that eventually everybody will know how to do it and how to do it successfully. And hopefully that definition of what successful is coming from you guys. So you will have a hand in crafting the most user-friendly environment possible.
that's great. That's great. Yeah, styling's a lot. It's hard to keep it consistent. We want to add color and add design elements, but really nice just to keep it basic there. Now, I just published this page. It pops out a menu for me when I first publish a page, and it just says, do you want to announce this page? It will convert the page to a news article and add it to the news feed. You can add the page to navigation. So I'm going to go ahead and do that just to show you how we manipulate that nav bar at the top really quickly. So I add it, and by default, it adds it to the top, which maybe I want it there, maybe not. With the top level is sort of like sections of our site. Document library drop down has 2 different libraries. So pages is probably where I would put that. So I edit that menu, and I'm just going to drag where is it? One second, it's not showing up. Let me just refresh. It probably just didn't give it enough time. Okay, so training sample pages at the top, it's down here. I'm going to slide that all the way up under pages because I want it to show up in there under my page drop down, because you're probably going to, as you add more content, add a lot of pages, add a lot of knowledge, but we really don't want our menu to go crazy and be very hard to navigate. So by creating little sections like this, and then there's my training sample page, your site can grow without just super overcrowding your top menu. Now, when we launch, obviously the home preview will become home and we'll get a little more real estate, but we should really try to keep our top level navigation as clean as we can, just how we did up here. We have a lot of links up here that we're sort of nesting under each other. And if I go to my knowledge page now, it might take a second. SharePoint is constantly indexing everything. So when you create a page or a news article or an event, it may take a couple minutes for it to actually show up on the homepage or in your site. Everything's search driven. So it just takes a while for SharePoint to kind of inventory that content. So nothing's super instant when it comes to publishing pages.
Matt, do you mind if I say something?
Please, absolutely.
So for those of you who have never used SharePoint, I've been using it the last few years, and Andriana is pretty good at navigating that as well. It's not hard. It really isn't. It's really easy to make your items look very professional. If you look at the PNC SharePoint pages, And then, we have benefits and we have wellness and yeah, so, I posted all those documents there for open enrollment. Can you go to our homepage, Matt? Thank you. So I do all those events. It's super easy, super easy to do this. So if
Well, it
any,
sounds like we have a train the trainer option too. We have someone on the team that's a super knowledgeable SharePoint person. So that's going to come in handy.
so if anyone is like nervous about this and they've never used SharePoint, please don't be. It is very easy to navigate.
Cool. Awesome. Okay.
Wait, let me pop in on that. That's
Yeah, no,
also
cool.
going to be that's going to be helpful commentary and knowledge as we start to train the end users too. So we're going to want you, Leslie, to be on those calls talking about when we get people to accept the new environment and start using it more than say email. We're going to want your voice as part of that to help give people a level of confidence that they will know how to get around. And even though they're not going to be on the back end, you as a liaison, that's going to be really, really powerful.
Open my mouth and look what I get myself
Right?
put into.
Yeah, keep it on. No, it's fine. It's great. And I'm kind of starting from zero here. Obviously, a lot of you have used Office, Microsoft systems before our whole lives probably. So it is fun. It is a learning curve, but it's very intuitive. It's the old days of SharePoint. It took a lot more training now. This is drag and drop, a little bit more modern. I am gonna go to the way we work and show that a little bit as well. But from a knowledge standpoint,
10 more minutes.
okay. So this is showing a little bit more of a built-out knowledge center. We have a lot of knowledge here because my team's been creating stuff around this Connect environment. And so you can start to see as you add knowledge to your department, your articles will start to show up here. You can search them. This is your own knowledge center. All of this content surfaces up to the hub. So just know anything you put in here is going to be available for people searching within your site as well as at the global level. And to start, I'm just going to show, I think I've got a drop down for it. Connect overview. You have a knowledge landing page and a search. You can also, if you have landing pages of knowledge, like I have one for this whole Connect system. So if you want knowledge, go to the way we work, go to the Connect overview. I'm putting in our training materials, agendas, recordings when Elizabeth sends me this right after the call, or whenever it's available. We will put those in here. So I've just created knowledge pages, put the content in here, tagged it, and then in sort of an index page, just creating links to those articles. So I can just go here, and a shortcut is 2 open brackets. Will let you bring you up with type a couple letters, and it's really a shortcut to the content within your site. So this is a really neat way to add links to other articles or content within your site. So that's all I've done here so far, and I'll continue to update this as we progress through training with, let me republish that so I don't forget. So I have each of our training sessions and videos and agendas there, as well as these are all the user guides we've created specifically for what we're all here for. And that is creating and managing all of these different types of content types in the site. So this is sort of creating a news article. This takes you step by step. There's that template again that I showed you. How to set up the page, tag it with properties. I know I went through that really quickly a bit earlier for brevity, but this will give you that long form step by step with screenshots to get through some of these, some of this content management stuff that we'll be going through with training and everything. Now let's go to the news area. And, oh, sorry, this is the news for the way we work. Let's go to the global news area. And if people on this team are going to be managing content with the newsletters and things of that nature, Again, I go to my site administration link and I want to manage a newsletter, the newsletter system. Here it is. This is a list. We haven't really looked at those yet, but we have libraries for documents and pages. We have lists for data in SharePoint. And what this allows us to do, and I can think if I try to add one here, still a work in progress on this system, and we're testing things. But if I want to create a new newsletter, I can fill this form in. There's a user guide with this. Yeah, see, there's a little error that we're still working on a little bit. I can select my template. We can create more templates, but let's just use food for thought for this example. Then send to, I don't want to send to everyone on this one. I just want to send it to our test team for right now. Oh, whoops, click too fast. Now, this is sort of setting up your newsletter. You can modify the header content here as well as the footer of your newsletter. But really, when we get to it, you are going to, when you build newsletters and publish them out, when our team does, you are going to be selecting announcements, staff spotlights. If there is a letter from the president, you can add the content there. And then this is bringing in news from all of our sites that is being created, and we can select them. So now these 2 articles will be in my newsletter, as well as events here, but I think that might be under construction right now. So I would list all the events that you could select for your newsletter as well. And like I said, there is a user guide for building newsletters and managing them. So we can, you can dive into that one in a little detail if you'd like. Okay, I'm not going to change, not going to save that one. Elizabeth, probably close to time. What do you think?
Yeah, I can give you a few more minutes if you want to wrap up, or if you're done, then just let me know.
I can wrap it up here in no time. Let me refresh. Okay. Go back to knowledge. So just wrapping up here, again, we're creating content at a department level with our teams collaborating on stuff, publishing it, and then it's showing up in these sort of global areas of the site. I didn't go into the search center. Works just like the Knowledge Hub. You can just search for content, like I can search for logo and it'll bring back all content, excuse me, just images or just documents. So if you use Google or any search engine in the last 30 years, works a lot like that. I sound old when I say 30 years, but you get the point. So we have now a global search center that's searching all of our documents and our images and pages and knowledge. This is everything. This search center, the Knowledge Hub, is just those knowledge articles that we're creating, like the Connect overview. There's the sample we just created that I have to go and remove because there's a weird picture of makeup in it, which I will do soon. But I hope this provides a very good overview. I know we didn't get into the details of managing content and things like that in a lot of detail, but plenty of time. And we've got a lot more documentation and user guides to write. So I think it's all sort of evolving at the same time. But, all right.
Thank you, Matt. That was
Absolutely.
amazing. I think that when you come back on the 4th, what we'll do is we'll give you the majority of the time to answer questions that people will aggregate over the next 2 weeks. And then I'll do a little bit of commentary on the team building and the team impact on the entire workforce.